Welcome to House Common Blood, where strangers are family. Every episode contains graphic content, including, but not limited to, copious amounts of blood, unnecessary cursing, death of all ages, be they infants or immortals, fantasy drug use, nudity, mentions of sex, and sound effects of various qualities. We cannot stress enough that this is mature content with adult themes. You have been warned. Be fruitful and become many.
All right. Welcome to House Blood. I'm Gray, your DM and host. We're a D&D 5e podcast, currently playing the adventure Hangman Worms of Frostheart. This story follows a group of misfits facing sentient calamities threatening to destroy the world, led by a Genasi army called the Rebirth Bastion. Most of the monsters I use are created by Ohai Mark. You can support his Patreon, although everything he makes is free. The music in our games is curated by D&D Breakfast Club on YouTube, with credit to each respective artist. I'm joined here today by Mega.
Hello, I am Mega, and I play Eddie, the Otter Boy Triton Bastard class. That's it.
As well as Nina.
Hello there, I play Oluja Oblak, the human cleric sorcerer.
As well as Rakuzan.
Hello, I am Recusant. I am the sap of the party.
As well as Moomin. Okay, Moomin, I see how it is.
Sorry, I'm just sad. I'm still recovering from last session.
There you go.
But no, I am Moo. I play the artificer Sear, who is always on fire.
And finally, Tyler.
Hi, I'm Tyler. I play the Revenant Bard, or artist who has been denied his art. Oh, tragedy.
All right. A lot of things, well, not a lot of events happens, but a lot of talks occurred. Who can tell me, like, broad strokes, the highlights of each conversation that you had last session?
Well, since it seems like nobody else is going to go, I'll throw my hat in the ring.
Give it a shot.
Yep, so we started off the session being escorted towards what was going to be our courtly Ardain court. And when we got there, we came across an odd skeleton man who I would hazard to guess is some form of lich. And he decided to look into us, who we were, explain how he knew who we were, through some odd means that he claimed was by talking to spirits, but Gumo found out through his own connection to spirits that he could, in fact, not talk to spirits. Rather, it seemed that he was connected to what I am going to refer to as the Eddie dimension. And so, as he searched his Eddie dimension for more answers, for more things to surprise the party with his knowledge about, there was quite the verbal, I wouldn't call it an altercation necessarily, it didn't reach that level, but quite the troubling conversation between Oluja and Sear, and Eddie decided that he would force some new rules onto the party moving forward to make sure that this wouldn't ever happen again. To which everyone agreed, at least for the time. But as far as Eddie knows, forever, as long as they wish to stay. And then, not long after that, we had our last words with the lich-like man, and we have now begun our Dane court. After some introductions from our jury and speaking to them with the amount of respect they are deserved, which is practically none, it seems, it is now time for our trial to go underway.
Yep. Couple things here and there, but you got it. Give yourself 3d10. It's also important to note that Eddie intimidated one of his rivals, Solmaris, who was going to be an active obstacle during this entire trial. The reward I gave was a preemptive victory towards the trial, so one success to represent that. Furthermore, he will not be flavored as one of the obstacles during this because of the threat that Mega undertoned. Other than that, it's just worth really reinforcing this, that Orange Chili requested that each one of you go to an obelisk, one in the mountain, one in the village, one, I believe I said the fort, or something very close to that term. And doing so would clear the blizzard surrounding his tower, and he wishes for it to become vacant.
Yeah, it's the mountain, the village, the fortress.
Yep, there we go, the fortress. And worse yet, there is still an active threat on the surface of Frostheart. Boreas. It is a creature, if you guys choose to fight, could give you guys some serious benefits, but I think for the benefit of Tyler, because I don't believe he was here during that creature's introduction, this is the equivalent to an apex monster for our campaign. It is ungodly strong. To quote Mega, he said, "I don't feel like rolling up a new character."
I don't know. That's quitter speak. I say we take it on right now.
You know what? You are perfectly free to take on that monster.
that impaled a fucking whale. And
maybe
it'll
impale
baby
me.
whale. Does he feel good about himself killing a baby whale?
I don't know. Does a hunter feel anything for killing a rabbit?
He should. Namaste, motherfucker.
Namaste, motherfucker. All right. Let's get back into the scene here. Let's see. Go. Okay. Good.
Oh, I should ask, is this a new day?
Yes, this is a new day. Well, let me be
Fine,
very
I'll-
clear. If you used anything last session, that's still used up. I don't believe that you
Oh,
did.
I have used it for like Flash Genius and other things like that. But why I ask, are we also going with the Artificer thing we found, Gray? I just asked that question is because I'm going to roll for potions.
Well, it's something that we should have done before the session. For now, we're using the current Artificer. In between sessions, we'll talk about the UA Artificer a little bit more.
We good. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah, it's more of me just being unprepared during the session at the moment.
Oh, you're fine. I just wanted to make sure. I'll just do my things on the side.
Gotcha. Just to set the scene really quick. Well, before I actually set the scene really quick, we're just to give everyone an overview. We are going to be going through a skill challenge. I know I said the last one was going to be the last, but I wasn't expecting a player to kill civilians, so we're all surprised. We're going to keep things simple. Nothing.
Did that happen?
Did that happen?
Yeah. So
Yo ho ho! She took a bite.
So we're going to keep things simple. It's not going to be multi-stage a skill challenge. In fact, I'm probably never going to do that again. But we're going to be following the same rules that we always do. The only thing that I should mention, and I'll be sure to post the rules in chat as a reminder to the players at least, we are going to be going with degrees of success and failure. That is something that was introduced with the new rule set, I believe, with the new DMG 2024. For our case and purposes, that means if you go 5 above the threshold I have in mind, you'll get 2 successes. We were already doing that during our other skill challenges. But that also means if you go 5 below, you'll garner 2 failures. So keep that in mind. The cap is 3 failures. So if you have 1 failure, you're always risking losing the skill challenge through a really bad fucking roll.
Question. I still have
Yep.
2d6 hero points left. Could I give that to someone just in case? Or is that just for me?
Okay, so typically hero points you can only use towards yourself.
Okay.
But here's the big but here. We haven't officially implemented that rule set into our game. It's just an additional way of me giving a reward to the players while using that rough framework. I'll make it an exception for this skill challenge, but I will highlight it under saying a hero point can only be used once for a roll. That means you can't have 2 people, doubling down on fucking D6s on a single roll.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Keep it nice and simple. And as a caveat for this challenge, because there's a certain Otter on the stand, if someone doesn't know what they're going to do for their turn or do during the trial here, you can forsake your turn for Eddie to speak or act. But Eddie can only act twice per round. So in total, like Mega, you could act twice over the entire skill challenge or 4 times if, 2 people give up their turns.
I have a question for you regarding that.
Go ahead.
So, I've got my bardic inspiration. If I wanted to use that to boost Eddie, could I then forfeit the rest of my turn for him to act?
Yeah, we're getting into a little bit slippy dippy territory with using abilities with this. So I guess what I will say, it'll be treated as a secondary skill. So it'll work exactly how you said. That applies to anyone else trying to influence rolls or use abilities. It'll be treated as a secondary skill. It'll take up your action to boost another person's roll. If you get really creative. All right. I'm just gonna post the rules here in chat, so we just have a quick reminder here. All right. Let's see. Just making sure it's written properly. I believe that's the most up-to-date version in the most succinct manner. All right. Let me set the scene. After getting that exposition done, I'd recommend people just read through it as a refresher of how a skill challenge works. All right. So, you guys are in this grand whale song hall. It's a marvel of oceanic architecture. We see coral pillars glowing faintly in the water's refracted sunlight. The central chamber is filled with a whispering hum of sea elf citizens who have gathered here to honor the hero's bravery and to seek justice for a grievous crime committed against the people. The Council of the Five Fingers, composed of 4 key leaders, sit in judgment on elevated platforms. Each member is flanked by a ceremonial guard. You see massive stained glass windows that cast colored shadows on the stone floor, reflecting the mood of the citizens. fractured, torn between admiration for the party's deeds and fury for the lives lost. You see, as the head of justice begins all of this, the room is hushed with the weight of their words. You see the tension building up with the crowd. Some people turn towards the heroes with glimmer of hope, other with condemnation. So, there we go. I believe we left off last session with Mega giving a one-liner to Solmaris, a form of intimidation, and the head of justice, Corvallis, thanking a Genasi and saying that the community is in their debt, which created an outburst among the public, or at least the people gathered, along with some of the figureheads, as he bowed his head to Sear. And as he raises it, he will say towards Eddie here, "I'm sorry to say, but we're not just here to shower you with praise. A grievous crime was committed yesterday, and I hope that the whispers and observations of the community are not but lies about your deeds." And his eyes glancing towards Oluja. "Mr. Hayse, you've said that this woman is under your care, that she is your responsibility. Is that correct?"
Yes, that is what I said.
And he gives a nod. We already talked about the grave consequences of it. Then, let us begin. And at this point, I'm just going to sling down the characters quick. All right. The turn order doesn't really matter. It's more of a way of me tracking everything here. But naturally, we'll start off with Eddie. It's worth noting that should you completely fail and not meet a certain threshold, the death penalty is the natural course of action here, Mega. There are multiple degrees of... Yep. Well, I want to at least state that there are multiple degrees of success as well. You can lessen the charge gradually. Although it might not be the best, it's better than being put to death. So we'll get started here. I'll make a post in the chat.
Well, hey, if you go to jail, at least a prison break sounds fun, huh?
Mm-hmm. And these are the skills that we are going to be working with here. And I'll be sure to set things up here. For our primary skills, we're going to have insight, history, persuasion, performance, religion. Secondary skills, medicine, deception, investigation, intimidation. The party has already had one success. And I believe I always mention how many successes that you truly need. To beat the first threshold here, you need at least 5 successes during this challenge to avoid the death penalty. Okay. And you already have one. And Corvallis will start off by focusing on the legality of what has happened. So I must ask you, what is your stance on the crime at hand? The massacre of sea elf civilians through means of a... I think he would quietly mumble to somebody else to make sure that this part is correct. Presumably a fireball spell in broad daylight. How do you testify against this charge?
Well, if we're going to be discussing the issue at hand, I would at least first like to ensure that all of the details are accurate rather than debating on the facts as they're currently presented.
Correct. Let's walk through that day. From what we understand is 2 Genasi were walking through the streets. And as they walked through the streets, a small mob occurred. As the mob began to form, and this is where you notice details being left out. As a small mob occurred, your friend, your associate, Oluja Oblak, casted a spell. Presumably a fireball spell, but I believe that it was transmuted into a different element. That spell killed roughly 24 people. After the spell was casted, they ran for sanctuary in town. Is there anything that we are missing from this charge?
Well, first and foremost, from what I've been able to gather from the situation, the mob did not occur because of the approach of 2 Genasi.
Is that so? A rabble, talking amongst themselves.
Murmur.
Yep.
It has become my understanding that the gathering was the result of, in fact, sea elves speaking out in support of Genasi. It appeared that the sea elves did not appreciate their speech on the matter and was attempting to silence them through violence.
Is that so? Genasi sympathizers, I see. Rabble. Well, that is the cause of the mob. What about the actions of Oluja Oblak? It appears we don't have any strong evidence of why they committed such a crime besides the presence of said mob.
It's like, well, I suppose this also didn't come up in your investigation. But like, under your investigation, were they able to positively identify the second Genasi?
From what we heard, there was a Genasi made of storms and a Genasi made of fire. Presumably, we have associated that with your friend Sear and your friend Oluja Oblak.
Like Eddie nods.
Mhm.
So well then, again, by my own examination of the situation, at least when I became aware of it, it seems that one of the individuals, after the both of them had approached the situation trying to defend the sympathizers, the mob responded by apparently it's like a stops for a moment. I think she said that they began to throw objects at the fire Genasi.
Let me amend the statement. You are completely fucking right, Nina. Replace every Oluja Oblak mentioning in this court with apparently Janet Jackson. I forgot you used that fucking alias. The cruel crimes of Janet Jackson.
Wonder how Sear's gonna react to that information
Okay,
being revealed to the court.
backpedal. Last little tidbit one more time, Megan. Sorry, that distracted the shit out of me.
As it came to my understanding, when the two Genasi came onto the scene in order to defend the sympathizers that were under attack, the mob turned their attentions onto the fire Genasi and began throwing objects at them.
Nodding. Unfortunately, when we were trying to gather information, a fair amount of the witnesses that saw it firsthand perished, although there was one account that came close to how you were describing things. And again, your memory flashes back to the sea elf that you personally talked to at the scene of the crime, and that you convinced to help raise, awareness for Genasis to encourage sympathizers. That does sound fairly accurate to how the events played out. But just to be sure, I need to check.
Flips notes.
Flips notes.
Yes, it says right here, you fail!
They just fumble with their notes paper, fumbling around. They just pull out a bunch of DM books out of nowhere.
It's a good time to mention, again, like, there are different thresholds for easy, medium, and hard, and they will not follow what exactly that you have in mind. Like 10 doesn't necessarily mean, 10 easy, 15 medium, 20 hard, etc., etc. The numbers can be a little wonky.
All right.
Yeah, so keep that in mind. So what kind of check would you like to do here? Are you making a bit of performance? Are you recalling history, like just to really get the facts straight, or are you trying to persuade here?
Um,
Because all of them would work. And yeah.
Well, I don't really want to attempt. Let's see here. I think the closest this actually probably comes to would actually be actually, I guess like with all the things that he has been clarifying, it's like it probably would be the closest to an emotional appeal.
Okay.
So it would probably be performance. Because like at least the things that have been talked about so far, it's just like, oh, by the way, it's like it was actually because sea elves were defending another race. It's like and then they turned onto one of the Genasi that happened to come on the scene.
Yep. And again, like you're making sweeping motions, like perhaps more of your eye contact is going towards the crowd to really like make a public display here. So yeah, please make me the roll here. We'll do a bit of a performance.
wrong page. I was like, where are my skills? Oh, they're in the other tab.
Yep. We see that Corvallis is just scrutinizing you, just squinting his eyes. Have another look at what he looks like.
Look at his grumpy eyebrows.
Young looking fellow. Anything you'd like to add to that?
No, I'm pretty sure that clear is a medium difficulty.
Yep. And that is also 5 above as well. So, like, as you give this recount, you go from 1 success to 3. And at this moment, he's giving a nod. And as you set the record straight, you see like some of the members speaking amongst each other. And I think at this moment, like you hear someone from the crowd, the Sea Elf crowd, just splitting the crowd of sea elves like a ocean, and you just see like a older a woman, just a little hunched over, walking up, and you just hear her screaming, "You took him away from me, my son! What is the worth of a life in the city now, when it could be ended so quick? You who claimed to protect us!" And she is like pointing towards Oluja. She is causing a bit of a fuss here. And again, like the camera pivots towards Oluja. Oluja, like, what's your reaction as the camera pivots towards you?
You know what? No. I mean, she maintains kind of like a stone face, looks over. She will have her day in court.
Well, this is her day in court.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You see like a man coming up, just patting like her and bringing her into brace, and he just has a look of death towards you. And you just see him say in a gruff tone, "How can you stand there unashamed? My son's blood is on your hands." And again, like this seems like one of the people that were affected by your spell, and their raw emotions are filling the room. Like you're hearing a lot of rabble like amongst the crowd here as they're talking for a little bit, just saying, "We've been waiting too long. Justice must be swift." And some others just say, "Before it costs enough damage, just finish it." Just going back and forth. I need to ask you, Oluja, like, if at all, if you do anything to quell this accusation in the room. It seems like your words would have the most effect at this moment.
Yeah, actually, if you guys don't mind,
I say go for it.
I've been thinking about this, but it's so hard to
Your
get
turn.
my words out properly.
Yep.
Performance is off the table.
Yeah, that's fine.
Hit him
She
with
will
that
kind
religion.
of motion towards the angry people.
Mhm.
I can see your pain and your hurt. And I would like to ask you something.
Woman is sobbing. The man is just holding her in a brace again, staring at you. What
Why
would
was
you
your
ask?
son filled with so much hate in his heart to hurt one of his own people?
They're looking towards each other. We raised him right. We warned him of your kind and what they can do.
The
And you only proved us right!
No, ma'am. You
Man.
let your ignorance and hate fill your heart with darkness. To what you said, Counselor, sympathizers to Genasi? This is what this group was so angry about? Just people wanting to be open and inviting to not just their own races, but to all around. Sympathizers for a race that just exists? I do not know what happened here, but you're so far back in this time where all you can see is just this bubble that you're in, and that bubble has clouded you to everything. And it's made you angry and hostile, even to your own kind. How could you let that happen? Your own people. This is not
Nostrils
just
are
some
flaring.
little thing happened. They were hurting them, beating them. They were going to kill other sea elves. Would you let it happen? Let yourselves kill one another? Then what?
Corvus will pipe up here. Of course not. Murder is off the table. It's still crime. It's just
No,
in moments
sir.
of chaos. It is just in moments of chaos where such evil leaks out.
Moments of chaos. We were here to help you with the Longneck tribe. We were here to help you with the worms. We were here to help you. We stopped an assassination. You're welcome.
What? Looking, each person looking towards each other, because again, although you guys did do that, it never took place. You guys stopped it in its entirety.
But I'm not
I
here
had that
to ask for
I
your
had that in my back pocket
praise,
for later.
okay?
Hell yeah.
We did it because it was the right thing to do. Now, here comes this group beating on other sea elves who, just air quotes, sympathize with another group of people that were helping you. And then as I go to help them, they come and try and attack me? Should I let them just beat me and kill me? Should I let it happen? Am I not allowed to defend myself? If someone is coming at you, trying to bring you harm, hurt you, kill you, are you all just supposed to stand there and let it happen?
Corvus raises an eyebrow. You claim this was an act of self-defense?
There is no claim, sir. Yes. Why would I do everything that I did to just willy-nilly hurt a group of people for no reason? Make it make sense.
All right. He nods again, there are two things happening here. One person keeping track of where this trial's going, analyzing everything you're saying. The logical side of the room. Then we got the emotional side. We still have the people making a ruckus within this trial. We see guards beginning to approach this couple, and the father figure, as the mother is breaking down and crying, is just saying, "And what of it? What of it? What will bring my son back? Your pretty words? You and your goddamn high horse?"
No high horse, ma'am.
Still man.
Oh, ma'am. Sir? Dude?
Yeah, there you go.
Hombre? Homie?
My home slice, you know?
Actually, maybe it would be at this point, Oluja, that Eddie would put a hand on your shoulder. It's like, actually, she does bring up a point here. Like looking up, like at the council, just like, and says, there is actually the matter of intent. Do Elvish laws not have considerations for these circumstances
But of
of
course,
certain crimes?
nothing is black and white. Circumstance truly does impact a matter. Before we pivot here, Oluja, what kind of check will you make for that particular scene that you just did? And if you want, this could be a moment where you're setting up Eddie, because remember, secondary skills are a thing.
I think I will set him up because the one I want to. Eventually, I'm gonna go back to religion and just have them all come to my side.
I knew it. Of course. Fucking zealot. Goddamn.
So yeah, I'm gonna give it to Eddie.
Yeah. Oh wait,
And
are
Eddie,
you
I'll give you a
are you
D6.
forsaking your turn, or are you using an ability here?
I'm gonna forsake my turn and give it to Eddie.
Eddie, you get to act again. Please set this up. I feel like you have a direction in mind here.
And I'll give you a D6.
It's like actually, I guess this would be the closest one, even though it's also a bit on the difficult side. It's like a with respect to ultimately the circumstances that led to the situation from just yesterday. It's like, I do believe that it is important to remember that, and I say this not out of disrespect, but just as a reminder to everyone that the Sea Elves have a proud tradition of adhering to the laws that have allowed them to persist for as long as they have. I don't think it is in your nature to simply ignore what came before, simply because of who was responsible for what happened rather than the situation itself and the circumstances surrounding it.
You hear like the public sentiment on this. You hear one of them just say, "We cannot judge in haste. Justice must be fair." And you hear another person just say, "Murders! They have no place here." And probably a third person just say, "They've done more harm to us than any enemy. Fireball wasn't the only crime here." Again, it's just whisper, whisper, whisper. But they're absorbing what you were saying. It seems like crowd is being a little bit more slow to come to judgment. Like the heat is coming off just a tad bit. Where do you go from there?
It's like sorry, I don't have I keep opening that one even though it's not the one that I'm using. I have two different browsers open, and I keep going to the one that I use the most often.
Yeah, don't worry, I understand. I'm jumping between a few things here.
It's like but in which case, Eddie does. Yeah, I think that would actually probably just be the best thing for the time being. The Yes, I guess, yeah, Eddie would just continue on that line. Just it's we do not deny the tragedy of what happened. It's but it needs to be known that there was no ill intent on those who have lost their lives. So the fact of the matter is that the actions of these individuals could have caused their own loss of life if there was no intervention. And a life is a life, whether they are a sea elf, a genasi, or any of the different species that happen to live in your communities. All of these lives have value. I would hope that you all agree with me.
You see them all exchanging glances. And again, the figurehead, Corvallis, says, "It is why that we put so much focus and pressure on this particular conversation. 18 lives were lost, and we must scrutinize every detail. The value of their lives are immeasurable, although they posed a danger to the public with their actions, presumably. We cannot ignore that this is excessive force for self-defense. But
Yeah,
go ahead.
No, continue real quick.
But
Finish the thought.
Yeah, the finishing thought is, but your words do ring true. Each life is precious." You see him taking a big breath.
And there's actually no telling how many lives could have been lost if the actions of these individuals had broken out and caused a chain reaction.
Nods. All right. How are you going to represent this with the check here?
The closest I've seen, as I've been trying to pivot off of Oluja's thing, I think the closest it does come to is persuasion.
Okay.
It's essentially reminding them of what happened and the why. It's and even though recognizing that it is still something that cannot be taken back, it's it is still something that, if no intervention had occurred, potentially worse outcomes would have been the result.
Mm-hmm. And you do have that D6 granted by Oluja. You may make the roll here. And
I'll judge for myself if it's needed, because I think this was also a medium check.
Just as a reminder to the rest of the party, Oluja has forsaken her turn for Mega on this round. No one else may do that for the remainder of this round. It is up to you guys to coordinate or help out Eddie during this trial. Okay, 24. Yep. Again, you are above the threshold here with the medium difficulty, and that will bring us from 3 to 5. You meet the first threshold here. You feel confident that the hangman's noose is loose around your neck, Eddie. You see fair amount of sympathy from the council members at this point. Let's move on here. Moo, what would Sear be doing through this trial here? Keeping in mind primary, secondary skills to assist Eddie, or at least like change the course of this trial for the better.
That's what makes it kind of hard in this situation. If I had to pick one, history could be a really strong one if it was a primary skill. You know, if I'm going after.
It is.
Eddie did mention, and like maybe this would have been like the situation, just like, quick, law book now.
I'll buy time.
Oh yeah, so like no, that's a good one. Let me look at my skills one more time, because I could also go after religion, but honestly, I think history might be the wisest choice to go after.
Before you move on, I'll just remind Tyler Kuzen, try to think of what you're going to be doing on your turns, because it's going to be coming up.
Oh, I know what I'm doing.
Gotcha. All right, Moo, what do you do?
Well, first, as they are kind of reeling to the fact of not being told that another fire Genasi was being attacked, not realizing, going like, huh? It's like that moment of like, wait a minute. They're
Eddie's
smart.
holding that in his pocket too.
Correct.
I have so many things in my pocket, depending on what other people do or say.
So, with the history one, in this case, with legal precedents and speaking of obscure laws.
Okay.
So, I'm going to be real great. I might know a lot of laws with Genasi, but not with elves too much. However, I
would actually argue that perhaps you do have cursory knowledge of a lot of different cultures' laws.
That's actually what I was about to get to.
Yeah.
That I worked in, if you remember background-wise, hospital thing, and my identity that I switched to was an elf.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to hearken more towards, I believe it's a cultural norm or a rite of passage towards a Genasi to understand the laws to properly hide amongst the populace, to raise as little suspicion as possible.
I could see that.
But yeah, we can argue that you would know like obscure like laws from the community itself.
The main thing that, I feel like if I was going to play it on the role play wise of obscure laws with elven kind, I understand the trauma they feel. It's mainly because unlike humans where they have short lives, elves have a very long life. Very much so. And not only that, but they also tend to be stagnant in a lot of ways. But why I would use this obscure law of a situation of that occurs is that then I would connect it to the fact of how harsh these people that were attacking the sympathizers were doing, because life is precious for an elf. They live for so long. So these elves were trying to kill the other elves that were being sympathizers. They have to understand how far more strict it is for them to do what they're doing as well. Because before Oluja did anything, they were threatening another elf's life, which is far more there,
Yeah. So let me hear how Sear presents this.
Sear would speak up a bit and being like, how long does a typical sea elf live? Looking to like the judge person.
Well, I think Islith might actually like pipe in here. And she will say, narrowing her eyes at you, she'll say about 750 years.
How many of you do tend to reach that age? Is it many?
Everyone has a shared look and shakes their head. Not many of us can live towards that sagely age.
So what you're saying is, though, that if someone does reach that age, it is a great honor, but that's mainly because you all hold life of your people highly, especially since you're so long living. Yes?
Yes, you could say
Venerate.
that. You could say that we venerate the elderly in our community.
So that does mean, if I were to put it in this way, that acts that would be upon someone of elven kind would be seen as more harsh if it was from another elf due to that loss of potential life. Correct? I say this is
Yeah.
particularly because often if you were encountering a human, for you, they are literally a blink in your eye of life. They could live up to 60 years where you could live up to 700. So often the things that would, be suitable crimes for them would be things that, often you just can wait and see and let them just pass on.
Isleth, again, this is a person of a renown amongst the council here, in charge of culture and religious affairs within a community. You see that you strike a nerve with her. As she would respond to that loaded fucking question by saying, "You could say that our community values sea elf lives over other races. I mean, it is natural that one's own species holds more weight than others, and I hope to change that way of thinking towards the difference in age between a sea elf, between the old and the young. We value each life equally within our own species."
Oh, of course, no. You are correct. I think that's a great way of viewing things. It's just that why I ask these questions is mainly because, well, then you would have to understand that what the elves were doing to each other would be honestly one of the worst things they could do in many ways, no matter how well you raise them. Unlike other ones where, let's say, a human that messes up often, they only lived up for 60 years and they mess up in the span of 6 years. And it often, elves have the luxury of having that 10 times of a lesson. They're less likely to make mistakes. They're less likely to fall into the patterns if and only if, they are taught that. That's where hate can cause a lot of issues. It makes even the most rational people forget things. And why I say this too is mainly because when the elves were targeting the sympathizers, I feel like someone that has a lot more time to learn from such things would less likely to resort to possible murder in some ways. Mainly because they have more time to adjust with that. But that does mean that the potential worth of the life is still important. That elf that could have been threatened, if they were killed, would have lost potentially 500 years if they were able to live that long. And they casually them targeting the sympathizer just for wanting to be progressive and wanting to bring peace amongst not just themselves, but amongst other groups that have been persecuted before in some ways. It would have been a very tragic moment because unlike everyone else in all races, human, or let's say I'll even pick a random one, bugbear, all these type of races, I say, you all have the potential to outlive all of them, which means you have the biggest influence to change the world. And I feel progressiveness in that way is a gift that not even I have the luxury to have. And having it almost smoted just because someone had to hold on to the old ideals, which are important to remember, does need a change sometimes. That is how culture works. It changes over time. Some aspects stay, but it's meant to be organic.
I could not agree with you more, Sear. But I must state, this is not just the murder of one elf. This is the shattering of a dream of equality that many of us have fought so hard for. You see her gritting her teeth. What point
Correct.
are you driving towards, Sear?
It is sad to say that you're correct. The point I am pointing out in some laws of things here and there, with your kind, is that we can bend bridges, and for you, 100 years, though, is a long time. I won't be alive at that time to see that change. None of us are, except for you. It does mean that it's possible to mend such a bridge. It means that by the long time of this tragedy that had occurred, often the people that either were alive would be gone by then, and that it could be healed. Something I wish I could be able to see, but I won't live that long to be able to see it. I could only
That
be
is
the
the
one to
issue,
help with
isn't it, Sear?
bridges.
That
Mhm.
those affected, those with a shorter lifespan, will easily forget this event. Yet the scars laid on a long-lived species, it will fester and be infected.
I believe
Well-
it already has infected, Council.
Correct.
Yes, it is a cancer.
Eddie reveals a giant image of the dredges.
Yep. And there's visible disgust from her. And you do recall that this holds a soft spot for her as well. If you remember when going through the dredges, this is the only council member you recall seeing in this area. Yes. That area needs to be fixed. And you see her eyes glaring at another council member. You see that she is staring at Melora. A reminder of what she looks like. She is sitting back. She's the head of infrastructure and urban development. And you just see her tilting up her head, like lazily closing her eyes and just saying, "That is for another time."
I
That
believe
is-
it is not, Council.
Oh,
It is very related to the situation that came across just yesterday. It is the living embodiment of the racial hate that has been expressed and that led to the tragedy. There is so much hate for other races that instead of allowing them to be living amongst the other sea elves, they are shoved into a place where they can't even breathe or possibly even find comfort. Is this the proud history of your people to treat other races this way?
Islith will make her own standing on this issue, and it will be counter to the overall opinion of the council. No, it is a black mark in our history that must be erased, that must be fixed, that must be rebuilt, Melora. And you just see her, again, like the intensity of the emotion, like this is a long-standing issue, decades of back and forth, but no actual progress being brought forth. Is you're seeing a surfaced here. But before we get ahead of ourselves, because Eddie is planting seeds here, Moo, what role would you like to make? Because it sounded like you're like this entire topic sounds like a lot of history is being brought up here.
Correct, mainly because the point is Sear made a strong. I love that Eddie jumped in, where it's like, yes, it's been very. You guys lived for a very long time, and progressiveness is great. And then when he pulled up the dredges, this is your example of not being progressive. So this would be a history.
Yep. Make the roll for me, please.
Let's see. That means then I only have 1 point of exhaustion. Actually, you know what? If I have a long rest, I'm no longer exhausted.
Correctamundo, because you did not walk through the public disguising yourself.
True. All right, then I'm trying
Well,
to
I
see
imagine
how.
it's a combination of, one, you don't have the staff. You always leave it to Oluja. And two, like, your spell slots were better spent. Even though you didn't explicitly say, hey, I spent it here and there, we can presumably say that you exhausted all of your spell slots.
Correct. All right.
That's it.
I'm just trying to think if I would boost myself in some way. But we might as well just roll. Let's see what we get.
Yeah, let's see the roll here. You guys have been rolling pretty hot. Okay. It's 18.
So flash of genius, but mainly
Okay.
because, correct me if I'm wrong, basically off of what Eddie said, would then explain change comes with progression. And sadly, this is your example of having the lack of progression. This is where it leads to hate, and this is where it leads to tragedy, which is why we need to change things from the culture. We learn, and then we grow. We don't live and stagnate. As with the Flash of Genius, I'll turn it to a 24.
Okay. That is just a pass. All right.
Okay.
It was
Yep.
a hard check, so it was
Yep,
going to have a
it-
higher DC.
Yep, higher DC, did not exceed it by 5. All right. That brings us a 6 out of 5. Again, you guys are slowly crawling your way to the second threshold here. Sorry, I'm just trying to collect my thoughts here. Towards the community itself, they would say, yeah, perhaps like all this talk about the dredges, you guys would notice that not everyone here is a sea elf. It's just an overwhelming amount. You probably see like some lesser races within the crowd itself. Mayhaps a Goliath. These sea elves talk of justice, yet they never give us a chance to live in peace. What will they do to us now, after what's happened? And we probably hear, like, you may not even see this figure, but you'll hear, like, a voice say, "You've done more than kill. Cause the wounds to be deeper than any weapon. They'll never let us live in peace again." And again, the figure is more covered in shadows. You can't really identify the particular race with that one. But you do make a substantial, like, a movement here, and the crowd reflects a little bit. Perhaps the sea elves are talking amongst each other, and you hear of carpenters and stonemasons, like, speaking amongst each other. Perhaps talking about taking change upon themselves, and you may see a change with the dredges. DM will remember that. It's up in the air towards Mavet and Gumo. Who wants to go?
I would like to go, if that's all right.
Well, just to make sure, Mavet, do you have a firm plan of what you want to do or say?
Yeah, I do. Because I feel
Okay.
I can pass one of these hard checks.
All right, understood. I just wanted to make sure that you weren't going to, rely on a, secondary skill or just say pass or something along those lines. If that's the case, Gumo, you seem excited. So let's see what you got.
Before I begin, I've 2 clarifying questions. Well, 3, actually. The first is, do I know that the party has a changeling following them?
That's a good
Specifically Oluja. Because I know that at the end of that
they were
first
not
fight that I was in,
they were not transformed. They revealed their transformation during the combat that you were introduced. So yes, you would know of a changeling.
All right. Second, I presume Oluja has at least preached to me a little bit about her religion.
Oh God.
Yes.
That goes without saying.
All right.
That depends
And
on
third.
what you say about him, though.
Well, I was gonna say more towards like
I'm not-
Oluja. If you didn't preach directly at him, you preached around him.
Okay, got it. And third and finally, is the person that I've reincarnated visible amongst the crowd?
No, but I'm glad you remember that.
Got it.
Almost like the DM has that in his back pocket as well.
The rest of the party would probably out of the corner of their eyes notices a blue wave courses entirely over Gumo's body for a moment.
Mhm.
And then all that's left of it is his glowing eyes as he steps forward. Pardon me, court, the jury, or whatever equates to our onlookers here. Before I begin, I would like to present myself and my credentials here to the court as a whole. I am a newcomer to this group, so I would like to make it clear that my observations of them are made with, as much as can be in the situation, a non-biased opinion. Secondly, I am also a long-lived being now, as I have died and come back before.
Rabble.
So
Actually,
I shall out. Yes.
I'm sorry to say, and I usually always say, "What's your intent?" and try to give more leeway towards role play, but that particular omission, or not omission, admittance strikes a huge chord with the crowd, and you see a little bit of darkness cast along each person's face as you've said that you've come back.
Mm-hmm. And I would like to clarify that I'm not a Genasi. I have never been one. My death was not rather pleasant, and to be quite frank, my soul was sucked into the afterlife immediately. With that said, I would also like to make it clear that, if given enough time and resources, I can bring back those that died in the incident. Twice a day, I can bring back someone that has died within 10 days. If given enough time and resources to do so, I can bring back at least a decent amount of those who have died. And if nobody has died, then I would hazard to guess that this does not technically count as a murder trial anymore, but we will see if that can be done at a later point. As it stands now, however, I would like to bring information to the court's attention that is important to keep in mind, especially considering that the court has said that they only have one witness available and testifying, and nothing beyond that. You see, beyond the question of credibility in that dubious lack of information, it has been revealed to me during my time here that there is a changeling amongst us, and indeed, haunting this party.
Rabble. You're really causing a stir. Yep.
You see, this changeling seems to have a focus on this party, and indeed, their goings-on in general. I do not know much specific about this changeling, as they are a hard thing to pinpoint, as I am sure we are all aware, yes?
Solemn nod from the council.
So you see, there's one simple truth here at bay. How do we know for certain that it was Oluja that killed those people? You see, it is my determination, based off the time that I have spent with these people, with Sear, who has given much of her time to helping and healing your people, even those that would seek to harm her, Oluja's constant preaching and helping of the community, of bringing them to spiritual enlightenment, that I do not believe that she would kill, when she could so easily do her best to convert and to change their ways. Amongst my other companions here, we have not come in here trying to run away from this court. No, we came right to it. To run away would be the actions of a guilty person. To come in here and demand that you listen to us or to fight back and kill you to escape. Those would be the actions of a guilty person. No, you see, this was an act meant to cause this court, meant to cause these issues, to bring down all the progress that has been made here over the past few days of this party being in the area. This is an act of an interloper, of a changeling infiltrator, seeking to prevent change to spite this party.
There's an ungodly amount of stuff I need to unpack there, so please give me a moment as we go one to one on each little thing. So let's talk about the elephant in the room.
And Eddie is ready too, honestly.
Yeah.
I hope you don't mind.
we're gonna
I'm
talk.
just trying to boost the success of whoever comes up next.
Yeah. we're gonna talk first about like your offer to bring back the dead. Then we're going to talk about the grounds you were arguing for, or your stance within the trial, because we've been going with self-defense, and I'm not sure the legal terms I would put for it, but impersonation. It sounds like it's swiveling to, which we are going to reference a lot of the groundwork and dialogue that other players have stated towards that particular stance. But let's start off with the bringing back of life. We'll say, well, first and foremost, you mentioned the dubious information and the lack of witnesses, and I would say with everyone's passive, like probably Eddie at most, you would notice that like Solmaris is looking away at that mention. You could probably tell that he pulled some strings to filter the information and really like create a forced perspective on the charges, which again you have broken through with your initial declaration. Towards you, Gumo, you see that Corvus will start by saying, I hope you know with your offer that you need to tread lightly. By what means do you wish to bring back the dead?
Reincarnation.
Speaking amongst themselves. Sir, are you familiar with our ways, our tradition, our culture when it comes to life and death?
I am, unfortunately, rather much a newcomer onto this scene.
I won't bore you with too much details, but we, as a species, as a community, despise reanimation and spitting in the face of what life and death has to offer. Although we do make an exception with reincarnation, because it is within our belief that once our souls leave our bodies, that they travel around the world and reincarnate into something different, such as perhaps a tree, a rabbit. It is the natural cycle of life. And we are a bit skeptical about foreseeing that cycle to spin in a particular direction. Although you have committed no crimes or grand grievances against us, even with the use of that spell, I would politely ask you not to go further with those actions.
And what if I could ask the dead what they wanted?
Again, speaking softly amongst ourselves, I'm afraid this is outside the bounds of this trial, and what you're speaking of is walking into sacrilegious territory, sir. We are fighting a war on this very subject. That's to really go over that. Just to give you quick an idea, Gumo. Right now there is a war between the Primeval Alliance, which includes elves and other like-minded races towards, the promotion of life and no reanimation, versus the Revenant Triad, which is humans, Yanti, and dwarves, and a few other races that encourage that line of thinking that you have, where the death isn't a final destination; it is just another moment in your life that can be repelled.
Given
But,
that I am human, I
yeah.
do not think this is all that shocking to them.
Yeah. But that's the first little part. But he's going to try to untangle what you said next towards your stance here. You claim that an imposter took the shape of your friend Oluja Oblak, commit this crime.
Yes, that is my stance, yes.
Is that shared? And looking across towards Oluja, Eddie.
This was, well, to get ahead of the issue before I elaborate further. No, the one who was impersonated was not my friend Oluja. Rather, the one who was impersonated by somebody capable of shifting their shape, either through natural ability or through magic, was my friend Sear.
Scrunching their brow. So you mean to say that this isn't an assault of a two Genasi, it's an assault of a Genasi and a changeling, yes?
I don't believe that I can specifically say whether they are actually a changeling. I know that they're capable of changing their shape. But whether this is a natural ability or one they achieve through magic is another matter. But I do know that based on the situation that occurred, the individual who took my friend's place, again, gesturing at Sear, did in fact agitate the situation.
Okay.
And related to an admission by my friend Oluja before, this same person was responsible for the near assassination of your commander.
And again, it's more shock that this has just been brought up again, not just offhanded, but directly. Before we move on here, god damn, this is just like, I just love how this is, all these events are spiraling out in this room. Gumo, it appears like your direct stance has been challenged by one of your members, although not completely shot down. Just shifted towards another individual. Like, what kind of check are you making here?
My goal is deception.
Okay.
I think you basically used a form of deception to confuse matters and cause people to think more on, think back more on the details of the situation. So I think it fits probably.
It fits.
Even if I could not shift the blame entirely, I could at least control the narrative.
Yeah, so let me talk about, severity. Severity is a function I don't really talk about much with the skill challenges. All you need to know is it's a influencer, whether it's a penalty or a bonus added on to DCs to make them harder or easier depending on situation. For your particular case, again, with your stance and in particular your reveal about your unlife, I'm going to say that this check is going to be a little bit harder than the hard difficulty here. Not impossible. I'm not saying it increases by 5 or 10, but I'm going to say it's going to be the outlier outside of this entire challenge here.
I'll give you my D6 then.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That
is
Understood.
going to be
Again,
really
let's at least see what the roll is before we start using
Okay.
things.
Yeah.
I mean, just saying, like I,
Before
for
that-
example, kept rolling high before even considering.
I'd also like to make clear something before it happens. Gray, do I use inspiration before or after I roll?
You can declare it after. Keep in mind,
Beautiful.
it is a reroll, and you must take the reroll. It's not advantage.
Very well.
Yeah, the
Let us
idea is that you
begin with
can't
deception.
use it if you already know the results of the roll, but you can at least see what your die roll is.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and because the DCs are hidden, it's speculation.
I will re-roll that with my inspiration.
Understood. So, a 22 from a roll of 9. Becomes a 26.
On top of that, I am going to use my knowledge from a past life to add a d6.
Oh, there you go. I like that.
And
To a 30.
do
You're
I go
good
for
with
more?
I don't think we can get higher than 2 successes.
Yeah, it is
I don't know,
always
Gray, can I?
it is always 5 above the result. Let me double check here. I believe you just went 5 over.
I mean, like, unless he made the DC a 25 for the difficulty, I think we're probably more than 5.
Yeah,
I don't
you're
know, I
definitely
have
more.
5 hero
Even
points to
even with
go.
the adjustment, you are more than 5. And what that means for a secondary check is that you get to pick 2 benefits. If you scroll up, you can tell me the 2 that you want.
Of course, let me go up and look at them. The
You
first
can-
I would like to do, which
Yep.
I already know, is to boost success potential.
Yep.
So I would like to double the amount of successes that we get.
All right. What specific primary skill?
Let's see. Is there any primary skill that anybody's itching to use right now? Because I can also open up
Insight.
one if somebody wants it.
Insight and religion. That's
Yeah.
2 that remain.
Religion. Mavet's going to be up first, so I'm thinking I will give you insight there.
Okay. I will make a note
And
that
to
it is
add-
increased by 2. Or increased to 2, I should say.
And I would like to hold on to my second benefit to cancel a failure.
You can't hold on to it. You have to spend it right now.
Oh, so that's going to activate the next time somebody fails then, or?
No, it'd just be nothing because there hasn't been a failure.
Then I will grant advantage to the
Okay.
insight check.
Okay, understood. So keep that in mind, Mavet. You will have advantage, and it will be instead of 1 success, 2 successes if you so happen to make the check. I do need to state, Mavet, just like Gumo, your particular crime was witnessed and will affect your roll, i.e., the severity of the DC will increase as a penalty. But yes, it pivots towards Mavet. Mavet, what do you have to say in this situation as everyone's making their case and trying to help Eddie?
Mavet does not believe this is fair to accuse Eddie with certain people here.
Mhm.
Mavet believes that some people are normal and don't want to hurt Eddie, where it seems others have it out for him.
Mhm.
As Mavet noticed the person who Eddie silenced on our last session, and Mavet points to him. Them being one of these people.
Solmaris.
And amongst you, I believe there are more. Eddie is a good person. People make mistakes such as myself, but Eddie helps keep Mavet on the right track, along with all of us. He is a big oak in a large forest protecting other little saplings, such as myself. So, I don't think it's fair to have people wanting to chop down the forest while also making sure to see if there's any blight in it. It doesn't make sense. I believe some of you guys are looking for blight while others just wish to see it burn.
Council members are looking amongst themselves. Pivoting. I think Corvus will mention. Mavet, was it?
Mavet Soha Fidash.
Mavet Soha Vidash. I must say we have also heard about you as well. And we would love to give time to your recent crime if it were not for your compatriots healing the wound. You do not take kindly to assault in this town, as shown through this trial, and we take it very seriously. But what you say does stand, and I must say I share your belief. Looking around at the council members, some of them shooting death glares, other ones smiling and nodding. I need to ask Mavet, because I would even say, like, the way that you're really doing this is more of a mixture of persuasion and performance. Like, how is this insightful to you? Like, what are you saying to get a response here, to read into what's happening?
So, understanding political manipulation, certain people are putting other people in here to have a better chance at a guilty verdict.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
basically,
like,
he just threw something out there to make, like, you literally even just gave the response of them
Yeah,
looking amongst
exactly.
themselves.
Yeah, the actual looks. Yeah, no, that fits. I can frame it in my head better. So yeah, like, obviously Silmaris, he again can't meet your gaze. He's looking around the room here, and Melora is crossing her arms and raising her chin towards you, while Islith is nodding along with what you're saying, and so is Corvus. Give me a insight check.
Man, I would like to expand further first.
Go ahead.
With the imperfections between me and my friend and my other compatriots, I believe we need to be, if we are to be tried, which I believe we are to be, because we have all made certain mistakes, whether they be the ones you're accusing of us or others. If you are to, how most of you people temper steel with the imperfections, you hammer them until they become perfect. So I believe while this, as you people call it, a trial, might not be a good one and won't get out the imperfections, there might be a better version where there are all good people who we are sitting in front of, and not some bad fruits among you. Mavet is shooting for a retrial.
Okay.
Ooh.
All right. Make me a insight check.
Oh.
I believe the term you're looking for is a mistrial.
Yes.
No,
A
Mavet
retrial
wants
is something that
retrial.
occurs after a verdict has already been handed down and it is tried again.
Mavet doesn't know that.
Well,
I could
you
just play
didn't.
that off
I
as
don't
not me
believe.
knowing that.
Oh, the
I'm
judicious
staying in
system.
character. We're not going to talk about out of character not knowing that.
It's fine.
Oh,
He's
the
learned his letters.
judicial system is confusing as ever.
His letters.
He's halfway through the goddamn alphabet. All right. Anything to that roll? You satisfied with 27? Keep in mind the hard difficulty was adjusted for you crushing a fucking child's hand.
I will say I am satisfied with the 27.
And I'll let you know that that is 2 degrees of success for 3 successes.
Oh, yeah, let's go.
Yeah, you guys are doing really good. That's 9 out of 5.
Ooh, we about to double it.
Now they're going to hang themselves instead of hanging us.
You know what? For the
Oh, I
grievous
mean-
crime of possibly accusing you of misdeeds, this council will make the only honorable decision of passing the death penalty onto ourselves.
I mean, we can always push for like corruption investigations onto them to make it a more metaphorical self-hanging.
I think Corvus will finish this first round. Yes, first round. By stating, perhaps this will be a trial to remember for years to come. This will be a monumental case to adjust how we do things going forward. And he looks at the rest of the members. Some of them, one of them shares his opinion, the other 2 don't. Again, you see a clear divide with this even amount.
The stenographer is sweating madly as they're trying to keep up. While
There's also do the stenographers also draw the court, or is that another person?
No,
that's
stenographer
a
does the
courtroom artist.
typing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is funny.
Except
It's
imagine
in this
courtroom
universe. It's both, and it's represented by an octopus in the background, like multiple
multitasking
arms.
octopus.
Yes, multiple arms actually writing like different accounts. Like you guys each have your own like piece of parchment that's being written on, and the other arm is just writing, like doing drawings of each scene, and it's really good, really fast. All right.
Why
We
is
cycled back.
Oluja's nose so large?
we cycle back to Eddie. Eddie, you made you've made a pretty big fucking claim here that there was an attempted assassination, and I do want to at least remind other members of the party as well. The assassination happened 2 days ago, and yesterday, the person who was the target of said assassination disappeared. So, with all the chaos and everything that happened, it is plausible, like some details were missed or did not make it up the chain if they were recognized. So something fishy is happening here. So, Mega.
Old fish that looks suspicious since he said fishy.
So, Mega, how do you move forward?
It's like before continuing, like Eddie would say, I won't be making an exception. It's like gesturing at Mavet. Mavet is also someone who is directly under my charge. So I also bear responsibility for their actions in the city.
It is a shame that you must take responsibility for so many actions. You see Corvellis comment on, again, judging the character of the group.
Well, it is the burden of any leader to accept responsibility, both positive and negative, for the actions of those who are underneath them.
Nods with a smile.
But I suppose it would, at any rate, be inappropriate to not at least further elaborate on the subject of the recent assassination, or attempted assassination.
Yes, Mr. Hayse, I truly do want to delve deeper into this. This comes to shock to me. I've not heard of such an incident? Who was the target of this attempted assassination?
Ultimately, at least for this specific individual, as there were multiple attempts to interfere with or remove the commander, from performing their duties over the past few days. But you will recall the events of, I think this would have been 3 days ago?
It'd be 2.
Oh, just the 2. Okay.
Yeah, this is your 3rd day within a Frostheart.
Okay, maybe that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
2 days ago when the commander made their appearance, making their declaration to the public. My group and I had just arrived, into the city. And due to our trying to put it lightly, tendency to read into the goings on of a city, since for some weird cosmic reason, every time we enter a city, we're just wandering into a situation that's causing problems.
It's very strange that your party has a pattern of always coming to a festival or an event occurring that would spark you into action. A tale of a hero.
It's really weird how that keeps happening. But that's fine. It's like a 2 our arm number. Actually, he even specifically points to Oluja and points to Mavet. They happened to come across the person who was attempting an assassination from afar, interrupted their work, and forced them to retreat.
I think he would hold up a hand for your pause. One moment, Mr. Hayse, we must deliberate something quickly. And if you listen in closely, you would hear them whispering amongst themselves, just Corvus saying, he speaks of Nereus. What attempted assassination on Lylaran? And they're going back and forth. Have you heard anything about this? No. Just going back and forth, trading information. And you just see there's a glare on his face towards his compatriots, who are taking a deep breath and telling you to proceed.
If you have doubts to my claims, it's I would be more than happy to open myself to a screening. But it's this is in fact what happened 2 days ago. You might even recall some of the chaos that happened toward the middle, where the commander and their daughter had to be rushed out. Is for this event that this occurred.
Yes, now that you mention it, I do recall the fucking Christ. There's an actual term for it. I'm just gonna call it a parade, but it's not a parade. It is
Procession?
literally. Yeah, thank you. We heard the procession was cut short after their campaign on the surface, which we did find quite odd. But General Lylaran is a man of odd tendencies. He'll take you up. He'll take you up on that offer. If you don't mind, Mr. Hayse, I would like for you to repeat that declaration once more. And he motions somebody over, and you do see a hooded figure. And again, you see them casting a spell over you. You can assume that this is a zone of truth. You would presume that they're saving this so they don't have to, exhaust spellcasters throughout the entire procession. Saving it for moments like this.
And Eddie willingly fails, and honestly, repeats exactly what he said, because I don't believe anything I said was
No,
a
absolutely
direct
not.
lie or deception. So
Yeah. I'm just gonna say with their passive perception that they don't see any notable resistance towards it. Seems like you relax under the scrutiny, and they nod. And so it is so. All right. Where do you springboard from this?
And it was this same individual who seemed to at least be able to shift their forms that over the next, like from that day into the next, that managed to infiltrate our numbers. It's like in order to take revenge on, in particular, Janet Jackson. It's like for being the main individual who interfered with their work. And then would make one more attempt. It's like at doing so, this time taking the form of, gestures at Sear, my other friend here. And judging by when I ultimately came to find Oluja and this other person, it's like having just myself spoken with Sear moments before in the aftermath of the tragedy, it made it very obvious that the person that she was traveling with was not, in fact, one of our number, but this individual once again, and they revealed themselves.
Just to show a reminder of your previous actions here, Eddie, especially during the start of this trial, Solmaris will pipe up Solmaris blessing, and he will just say, I would explain some of the accounts of... sorry. I would explain some of the accounts of the fire Genasi being seen at multiple places at once. We did just think that she was running all over the place. It seems he is assisting your claim. The head of justice will pipe in as well, just saying, if that is the case, why would they take the form of this fire Genasi? And you just see them like confused, like of the exact intention of taking that form. I presume the two of them are close. Looking towards Leah and Sear, feeling the animosity in the room. Still confused.
It's like they are outside of these circumstances of this very stressful environment. Are you familiar with an OTP?
I would say it's beyond our culture. Would you mind explaining it to us? Solmaris chimes in.
These two exhibit a closeness, a relationship that is so obvious to those around them that one cannot help but imagine for themselves that they are in a relationship.
I see. A lover's quarrel. Understood. I'm a passion.
But yes, this individual capable of altering their appearance chose to take advantage of this in order to get closer to Oluja.
Just you just see like the head of justice trying to wrap his head around like all the factors, like the situation. There's like a pause, like perhaps a couple minutes pass. He closes his eyes, head tilted downwards, and you just see the gears going in his head. So if I understand this correctly, these two Genasi, one of which was a changeling, walked through one of the districts where a mob formed, assaulted one of you, and again is looking for a little clarity on that, perhaps staring at Oluja. Assaulted Oluja?
What appears to have occurred is that this individual had already replaced Sear by this point. It's like so when they came across the individuals that were being assaulted by the victims of the tragedy, it's like they turned their attentions onto the imposter and Oluja, and the imposter, but not known at the time, it's like was then put under attack by the mob.
Nods.
So then you can probably understand, it's like the claim of self-defense was not necessarily just for her own sake, but also somebody that she cared for.
Now, it was very important that you actually brought up their relationship during this trial, because that particular circumstance and who was assaulted is heavily affected by that relationship.
Oh, this is fun.
Okay. So towards the finishing point, because it looks like the clarity is brought to his eyes. He has a better understanding of the individual factors, what is brought up here, and the proposed romance between the couple, or at least like the tension and feelings.
That's what Oluja wants everyone to
Oluja, actually say it out loud. I want to hear it. This is an audio. This is an audio podcast.
What?
I want to hear it.
Whole
It's
thing, I'm
fun.
like, I'm sorry, but did we not make a deal, an understanding?
Like Eddie will actually say to you, I believe I told you that I would not tell Sear.
I'll just tell everyone else.
I knew it. They skirted the
Yes.
line.
I see what we're doing here. Okay.
Inspiration.
That is
Fucking amazing.
oh my god. Well, that's what makes it so surprising. If I had to like have Sear in the background.
I've been holding on to that in case it came up, and it's just like I am beholden to nothing if they ask me.
Man, I'm so glad I brought up
In
the
a
changeling.
true Hayes manner, he upheld the deal. That was fucking amazing. All right. So, where's this going to end? Like, you proposed the changeling. You brought forth the truth. He has a clear understanding of from point A to point B towards the crime. What skill are you going for, and how is it going to relate to topics that you've talked about or are about to talk about?
Well, honestly, it's a bit hard because I believe most of the things that have... I mean, I don't think we've refreshed at any point.
No, we have not.
Or like we didn't get a new set of skills.
No.
So
like
is
the
religion.
best I can offer is that would actually like make sense of what we're seeing here is technically investigation.
Okay. Investigation, secondary skill. And I do want to just address that too. Like I said, main reason you kept getting different primary skills with the last skill challenge was because the circumstances drastically changed from moment to moment. With this,
Yeah, that's why I was like a bit.
yeah.
That was why I was a bit disappointed when like people weren't really like refreshing things as we were increasingly losing more skills.
Yeah, and this will be the standard that we'll use going forward here. What I did before was just a special case of a very complex challenge. But let's see that roll. Investigation, it will be medium difficulty. That's fucking good. I'm still reeling after that. You know what? While that roll is being made, Oluja, Sear, camera pivots towards both of you. What are you looking like? What are you doing at this moment?
I want to hear what Oluja thinks, and then I will reveal.
Yep, speak.
They typed it out.
I know.
Oh, no.
I'm just saying, say it out loud, Oluja. This is your moment. There's a bit of dead air here.
No, she'll still stick with her plan of religion, but her dynamic relationship between the group has heavily shifted.
Anything to that roll, Eddie?
Actually, I
17.
think I will use one of my D6s, because if I can possibly get 2 successes on this, I would like to be able to re-up some things.
Yep, understood. Yeah, and it's a good time to use them because you have a handful that can only be used with sea elves, and this would be the moment to use it.
I can try and do something with persuasion or performance if either of those get opened up to try and convince the crowd
Okay.
that this is
Damn
a
it.
19.
screwed up court.
Anything else?
Because
Flash of genius.
Can be done.
And I will use it in this way, where
Mhm.
you're trying to. What was the role for investigation?
Yeah.
It's going to be one of those moments, and I know you're trying to use it to open performance or anything like that. I just want you to imagine like all the dots clicking as like Sear just like has the most confused face imaginable, where they are extremely mad, but for some reason is extremely relieved, but also very sad. It's very much like a complex of emotions, and goes, that would explain a lot, and basically connecting the dots to what Eddie was pointing out, as Sear just kind of blurts out something that just connects all the investigations together.
I imagine echoing changeling, or at least like imposter, or even the even
Eddie
the
is being
creature's
very
name.
careful.
Yep.
Eddie is actually being very careful not to say changeling.
Okay.
Because, one, he technically doesn't actually know if they're a changeling or just somebody who
Correct.
just changes forms a lot.
Yep.
But the other point is that he doesn't want to undermine their cause of racial equality and not inflaming things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
It's
this could have been done by anybody who could change their forms, not just a changeling.
Well,
And it's
yeah, I was
important
gonna
not to
say
lose sight of that.
this is comparable, like back to like the olden days of America, talking about Africans and the Irish, or it just like you're treading a very fine line here, where like the blame and hatred could go towards a group of people, and you're doing a good job of doing the tightrope here. Actually, with
Ray,
that, go ahead.
Given what I brought up, that's quite a situation to compare it to. Given what I said,
yeah, that's why I had to start saying that, like, especially because you brought up the changeling issue, and
as a reminder, Genasi, changelings, and Kalishtar are killed on sight for most communities and nations in this world. It's a little obscure why there is such a stemmed hatred, for each culture has their reason for doing it. It's just a weird cultural norm amongst all communities. But
with Sear's assistance, that turns into a 25.
Yeah, by leagues and miles, and that was needed to get that increased effect. You may choose 2 benefits.
All right, we're going to, because again, we need more skills. I'm going to open back up, I should say. Yeah, let's open back up persuasion and performance.
Done. I'm adjusting that. Like, do you have a finishing word on the topic?
So then, yeah, I guess like maybe this would just be like a summative statement. It's like, so due to the interference of someone who has already made several actions against the sea elven population, including its higher leadership, it's like that in turn inflamed the situation that ultimately led to the tragedy from yesterday.
Rabble, 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 rabble. It's getting a lot more crazy. Again, you guys really painted a clear picture here, and just people are really, really getting into it now. I would say, yeah, like within the crowd itself, it'd be represented. So who's to blame? The sea elves, the Genasi, the changelings? What is to be said here? Haven't you been opening your ears? There's nothing to do about that. It's all about the sea elves. The sea elves! And again, your words are pushing the crowd. You're seeing the hatred, the blame. It's being pushed in a direction, not at a marginalized group. But it is transforming within the crowd itself. All right.
Oh, that's fun.
Yep. I'm gonna leave the floor open. Eddie has done his turn. Who would like to go next? Popcorn initiative here.
Oluja, do you want to go? Because I've got something I would love to do. But if you want to try and get the religious thing in there,
I mean, I have a segue in, but if you have something better, I'll try to segue off you.
just to let the party know, my plan is to essentially pin the blame for this on most of the council, or at least the ones that are currently against the party.
Okay. The antagonistic of the council.
Then it's hard to segue off that. It's easier to go off of Eddie's.
Okay.
I mean,
where the crowd is now.
Yeah,
I'll
Oluja.
segue off of Oluja, but let's see what Oluja does.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, we'll go with Oluja, then we'll see how this goes off. All right, go ahead, Oluja.
Oluja swallows a hard lump in her throat. She really is hurt. But to focus in on the moment, she'll say, hearing such divide all around is troubling. You have all this time you're given as sea elves to learn and grow, and then we come to find the dregs. Is it? What's it called? Dregs?
Yep. Yeah, that's what we'll just call it, the dredge. The dregs.
The dredge or the dregs?
Dredges.
The dredges. We have come to see the dredges. Change is not happening. If they are not sea elves, they are less than. Such divide will get you nowhere in life. I am fortunate to be in the presence of such a loving and inviting God, Aeolus.
Here we go.
Who takes all our differences and makes us better, because those differences make us better. We could have the same things, we could have different things, but we treat each other with respect and love. You here, you take it as a division. I am better than you, you are less than. I am angry at you, I hold a grudge, I want to kill you. Why have all this? Come together, be a community. Where I come from, there are people from all different walks of life, different backgrounds, races, all together. And we come together under the love and protection of Aeolus. And it is a beautiful place. And even if you don't live in Corderosa and you follow the words of Aeolus, he still is there to protect and guide you, no matter where you go in life. Why can we not follow a common ground like that of Aeolus' teachings? Why have hate in your heart? It is because Aeolus has gifted me the ability to protect myself. I defended myself against 18 people. 18 versus 1. If I did not have him in my life, I would not be here. But I was gifted the ability to be able to defend myself from those who wish to harm me. Do I wish things went differently? Sure. But I am grateful to still be here, to live another day, to help other people, help the sea elves more if I need to. I do not want to live in anger and hate. I want to live my life and be free, like the albatross of Aeolus.
And you hear a murmur. Just say, may Aeolus guide your way. Guide your way, guide your way. You hear it echoing. You do see like some of the people you recruited within the crowd itself. But contrasting your words about unity, you see a division forming from a religious standpoint as well as followers of Minerva. And seeing this outsider god being introduced, you hear people cry, heathen, heretic, put down your religious symbols. And you just see bickering, like back and forth amongst the crowd.
Regardless of who you follow, I believe that even those of Minerva would seek unity among the waves and the oceans, rather than to divide its creatures among its enveloping waters.
And strangely enough, Eddie's words make it the conflict. It makes it simmer down because again, he has dealt with a vigil of this same conflict, and a lot of those participants are here tonight as well. I think the camera would pivot towards the head of justice, and he would say, "You speak of unity lightly, but it is a thing to strive for. We have always been striving for unity. Some of us wish to band together as every elf is one elf, while some of us see the division between our guilds versus the elves that walk the forest. I see what you mean, but unity is a hard thing to achieve without conflict. To have true unity is to deprive individual choice, to deny independent thinking. There will always be conflict. But you speak of a noble cause, a noble goal." And he exchanges a glance with Islith, and again, your words are speaking true with her as well. This is something she has been tirelessly working towards, and she is very happy to see all of the hidden misery being brought forth, pushed in front of everyone's faces. Please make me that religion check.
All right. I'll
Now,
use my...
I want to specify. I would have increased the difficulty, again, mentioning an outsider god and this, that, and what. But, again, I'm going to respect Eddie's actions of the previous day that simmered this conflict. There is no adjusted difficulty.
Okay.
Yep.
Wow.
Okay.
I will use my inspiration.
Understood.
I knew I would be the one to roll low. You know, I felt it deep within me.
Honestly, I think that's happened every time, right? Like, we've done
Yeah.
a skill challenge.
Uh-huh.
Gray Wing digital dice.
Natural fucking 20.
Holy crap.
Okay. For a total of 28. Right. That brings us from 9 to 11. All right. Any finishing words with the PCs given to you about Unity? And again, it feels like you've been hearing that a lot, not from your own heart, but even from the opposition as well.
I think he made an interesting statement, right? The wonderful thing about Aeolus is that you can have a difference of opinion and not be scrutinized by anyone else. It's okay to have a difference of opinion. We're not going to fight about it. I like cilantro, you like cilantro. I hate cilantro, you hate cilantro. Should we fight? No, we accept the difference.
Interesting statement from the woman that was demonized by her community.
They don't know that.
Yeah, I know. I just want to say that's
okay,
very
and it wasn't for
interesting.
my difference. It was because they think I killed children.
Yes.
Just letting you know.
Yeah, it's like I guess it's easy to forget that she was a human before. Like
Yep.
there was no racial tension.
I mean, you might have killed some Sea Elf children in that 18 large blast.
She has a count. All right. We're finishing up here. Again, just as a reminder, like, if you guys don't know what you want to do, Eddie can act again given your turn, but I still encourage you to bring forth what you have in mind or what your character wants to do if you have something strong you want to put forward. Sear, Gumo, we're reaching the end here.
You want to go first, Sear? Because my plan is my character's going to intentionally try to upend this court against the council.
I think at this point, based off how Oluja threw that off, I have no reason to jump in. So I will support you depending on what you do.
Okay, here we go.
Right,
it's time to introduce democracy.
Weren't these councilmen democratically elected?
We'll see. We'll see about that, huh? So, Gumo is going to step forward. The rest of the party can probably still notice that this otherworldly energy still lingers inside of him, and he's going to take a step forward away from everyone and... Excuse me, Council. May I approach the crowd?
There's a hesitant nod from the head of justice.
Thank you. So can I pick out one of the people that from the religion of Minerva that was calling for the heretic to be dealt with?
Yeah, you can. It seems like it's not a priest by any means, but a fervent follower of Minerva.
Excuse me, sir. I have a question that I'd like to ask of you.
And you just see their brow scrunching up at you. They don't seem to like you, anything that you stand for, or your very being. Yeah, it's like you're the anathema of everything they stand for.
Who taught you how to hate like this?
Excuse me?
Who taught you that your religion was the only one, the best one? Who taught you to hate all else?
No one is taught to hate. What are you talking about?
Oh, people aren't taught to hate? Take a moment with me, will you, sir?
I'm not
Pay
sure if I
attention to
want
everything
to.
brought up by my friend Marvet here. Keep in mind everything that has been brought to mind about this court and their evidence. Tell me, does it not seem like information is being controlled here? Does it not seem to you that people are purposefully controlling information? Trying to perhaps make it so you only see your religion as the only and best one? To the families of those who have lost, tell me, who told you that who told you that you should not see them again? Do you want to?
And God, what's the best way of approaching this, or at least giving a comparison of what you were asking? Yeah, no. This would be a good comparison. It's like if you were to go to the Vatican as a Satanist. That's
Yep.
well, that's the best way of putting it. And I know it's very on the nose, but that you're seeing that kind of revulsion. You are combating it, not even with humans. It's generations of hatred and doctrines hammered into people. You are talking to a long-lived species where they have to undergo this conditioning for hundreds of years. You feel unrest with the crowd, like you're causing a murmur.
Well,
There's no clear
I think I'll
answer.
make-
You're hearing an assortment of people shouting, calling you a heretic, a heathen.
Perhaps I should make myself clearer here. What I am trying to tell you is that, as we have brought up here, unity need not come from conflict and the resolution of it. Unity can be found if you only search for it, if you only try to truly embrace it. Tell me, you have lived all such long lives. Surely you have seen things different that you perhaps wish that you could have engaged with, enjoyed, but were told you couldn't. Told that it was wrong because of somebody else telling you that. Tell me, who told them that? Who told you that? If it was your parents, who told them? Their grandparents? Well, who told them? Indeed, perhaps, maybe if you did speak to your grandparents, you'd find that they might hold a different opinion from you. A different opinion from what you think is right or wrong. And at some point down the line, it shaped and changed between generations. Controlled the information. Now tell me, when you compare that to the court here, there has only been one witness brought up. That is the only piece of evidence in this court. Now tell me, looks amongst your counselors there. Of all of them, look between those who are actively seeking resolutions that would bring the people together and those that, despite their claims to otherwise, do their best to keep you separated. Some of you held down, some of you held up, held above the others to make it so you don't want to seem as if walking with the others would bring you down with them. No, the truth is here that yes, my companions have done wrong, 2 of them. And it is Gray, is the Zone of Truth still up?
No, this is only brought for remarkable, very
Okay, great,
big
'cause I'm about to
remarks
lie my
that
ass
need to
off.
be fact checked, like attempted assassination.
Okay, yeah, because this is he's about to lie his ass off. It saddens me greatly to know that my companions did these horrible things. And To be quite frank, though, I do think that, yes, some punishment is deserved, but shouldn't that come from a fair trial with adequate evidence? Shouldn't they be proven guilty with more than just one accusation? With no other evidence? It has come to my mind, of my opinion, no, as you should be realizing now in these moments, as you look upon this all, that information is being kept from you, controlled. You are being conditioned to see things in a specific way without being given the opportunity to see them for yourself. Look amongst the counselors there. You can see which ones seek to control the narrative. And you must prove that you can be better. And you can only do that by changing the way the system works, by changing how it all works. Bring down the people on the lower end up. Make yourselves equal, all of you. You have only 6 people up there, when really, how many different types of people and beliefs do you have amongst you all? Many, many more. I think that you should seek change, no matter what it takes to get there.
A lot to
So that way
unpack
you
there.
do not have such hung courts.
There's a lot to unpack there. I would represent it with the people, but
Yes.
with your statements, I don't believe there's a clear voice that you can hear through the cacophony of people speaking. You know, that's just filled with, bile and hatred. Yeah, because it is nice words, and what you are saying is like an underlying tone and a system at work here. But in my mind, I want to roleplay the collective community as dissenting opinions that conflict. And although you struck a chord with some people that fall along the same train of thought, you have other people that haven't given critical thought to this, that the reality that you are attempting to shatter attempts to remain stalwart through denial. And I think the best way to represent your claims and conduct within this hall is through the heads, the representatives that you are giving allegations for, because people are looking towards them for clarity.
Of course.
We'll start off with the head of justice. Obviously, the closest thing to judge in this situation. Seeing the outburst again, allowing you to speak your word, has had enough. Enough silence in these halls. Sir, what is your name once more?
Gumo Lilam.
Gumo. I will not stand for this misconduct in this room. Although we've had many revelations come through personal accounts of the crime at hand, what you are talking about expands beyond what is at play here. And we believe that not only are you disrupting the peace here, and again, motioning to the surging crowd, but if this does continue, I will hold you in contempt of court. Have I made myself clear?
Of course, I will remain quiet for the rest of the session at your discretion.
See him glaring at you.
It makes it very clear
Yeah.
there. I hope I got that across.
Yep, you did. And while he gives the authority in the most impartial way feasible in this situation, we see the other heads, speaking to the crowd independently. Solmaris just saying. Hold on, let me drink water here. You will speak towards the merchants, because Solmaris is the head of Commerce. He's the head of trade for Frostheart, and he will say to the local merchants, Nothing has been withheld from the public. Everything that you are saying is coming from our hearts, and you have nothing to be afraid of. We will bring order. And Meliora will say to the noble society again, because you brought up that foreigners and outsiders are relegated to a section of the city, like the fuck's the word? In the ghetto, essentially, like a formed ghetto within the community. She's going to be appealing to the higher society and the Sea Elves itself that don't suffer from it, and she will say something along the lines of, "It is blasphemy. He is questioning our ways, our tradition. They are rich, and to this foreigner, they appear barbaric. I will not stand for it. We will hold our pride close to our heart." Well, Islith is going to be talking to the chapters that are going against each other that Eddie has simmered down between the following of Minerva and Aeolus, saying, There is no law that prevents us from following a new god. Just because it is an outsider's god does not invalidate the belief, the course, and the message behind it. We should accept change. We should accept different ideas. It is the only way for us to grow without stagnation. And she is going along with the thoughts that Oluja and Eddie have put down. That is all the heads. One that brought order, the three heads speaking to different groups within the community. I need a deception check at this point, because you are casting a fair amount of shade, and we'll see how effective that is.
Not perception, darn.
And
I mean persuasion, darn.
I'm also going to increase the difficulty here because you're asking for a tall order. You're not just embellishing what your friend did, or keeping information to yourself. You are actively putting forth allegations of withholding information that causes stagnation within the community that arises, like these issues that we're dealing with today. Like, you're throwing a lot of flack.
Deception, yes?
Yes.
Whew, okay.
This is a hard check.
All right. Oh! I'm going to add to it. Screw it. Knowledge from past life.
Mm-hmm. All right.
4, so that's 56, and I'm going to spend a hero point.
56? You're high, 36.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's fine.
36. Bleh.
That'd be an impressive check, though.
Well, that D6.
Well, I'm going to reflect that by the authority of the head of justice has no effect
40.
on the ripples that you've made. I'm going to stick with my gut on this and say that you may choose 2 benefits. And I will also, just to write down to reflect how high of a roll that you had, a 40, this will have a serious impact on the community going forward, and I'll make a note of that.
Oh, beautiful.
Yep. I didn't break my fucking pen. All right.
Okay, now I need to find the benefits. So, what do people want? If anybody's going to try and do anything past this point.
We got 2 people left. That'd be Mavet and Sear.
All right, I will grant advantage to Mavet, and I will open up Insight.
All right, keep in mind it is no longer 2. Just want to clarify that. Yep. It is open back up. All right. And any finishing remarks, seeing your chaos being sown here?
The rest of the party will hear, because he's so close, under the rest of it, just Oh, I love
Like a
this
fucking
kind of
gremlin.
thing. Yep. Before you all watch as the blue light goes away from his body, and he just staggers for a moment before. Huh? What? What happened?
Okay.
Is everything all right?
All right. It is Sear and Mavet. We are reaching the end of this trial. Which one of you guys would like to go first?
Depends if
You-
Mavet's back,
Do-
but I could do
yeah,
it.
my
Yeah.
bag. Would you be comfortable doing the primary?
Oh, me. Let me
Yeah,
take a
you.
look. I can do religion.
I have a pretty good insight, but I did have advantage last time. Is there what are we sitting at in terms of passes
Didn't
and failures?
11.
religion get
literally-
used?
Yep, go ahead.
He literally did two things. He opened up insight, and he also would be giving you advantage.
So you go for insight. I would go for it. Mavet, if you have it, because I have terrible insight. If you have advantage, I would go for it again.
I will go with insight. What did I miss so I can role play the right
Oh,
thing
boy.
to choose? TLDR version.
Yeah, I was gonna say TLDR. Mega made a clearly explained, and I believe you missed this because this is one of my favorite fucking moments now. He confessed to everything Oluja did. Oluja was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And Mega said, "Well, I said I." In your own words, Mega.
He only said that he wouldn't tell Sear.
Yep. So he told the heads what was going on exactly, down to the romance and the motive for the crime, everything. So there's a clear picture in the room. An imposter in Sear's place was outlined. A religious dispute was brought forward on unity from Oluja, and that her god encourages unity and not negligence and hatred. Gumo is casting shade onto the authority of the oligarchy, and that they're withholding information from the public, and furthermore are causing a stagnation with development purposefully. And I believe that's it. Because the last person that we need to hear from is Yoon Sear.
I am going to go the route of, again, insight. I think understanding or not identify ways of counter rhetoric, and the goal is to make them see us as a way we can further improve their current system of handing out trials. Like improve their lawmaking process and
Okay.
this.
So, there actually is an issue that is bringing up that might be different from what you had in mind here, but you can tell me whether or not you address it or ignore it. Yep. So I'm just gonna grab it right here. So what's brought forward is from Meliora, I should say. Sorry. She is pressing upon you and maybe even making an open appeal to the public. What of the physical damages to our economy and our city and our buildings? The destruction that is caused by this. We have suffered so much from this raid. Our buildings destroyed, collapsed. Look at our port, for God's sakes. Imagine, it will take so long to rebuild to where we once were. What of it? We've had people that could assist us, and now they are gone. What will you do of this? Again, this is just thrown to the party, again, as a bit of a segue from Gumo's chaos here.
Well, the good thing is that we are able to do something about it. Now, I have my friends, well, my friend and my compatriots here, and we could assist. That depending on, of course, how the trial goes.
How do you intend to restore what is lost?
Much like any tree, if it were to lose a branch, it can grow again. So just because something is damaged doesn't mean you can't rebuild it. You just need the will and the power to do it. As Mavet will, I don't believe we clarified if there's anything such as like preventing spells from being cast in this room.
Spells have been cast in the courtroom. Keep in mind there are armed guards next to each head. And on top of that, there are spellcasters within the audience. So please, go forward.
While some of you may be small in nature, you may not be able to lift the rubble and clear it as easily as some, although you have bigger brains than Mavet. Mavet is going to cast Enlarge on himself.
Okay. You do so.
And Mavet Soha Fidash does have the power you may lack to assist with rebuilding should it be needed.
So, is what you're offering a disaster response, a relief operation? What are the logistics of this? Are you to say that one individual, yourself, in this form, looking at your large form, will be enough to clear all the rubble?
Mavet stated before, his mind for these logistics aren't as strong.
Okay.
But we are in front of other people who have good brains, like Eddie here, who can work around that and use strong trees, such as myself, to go to the places of much need. Does that make sense?
You just see her just holding like a hand over her eyes, massaging her forehead, and she's giving deep thought to this. So how are you going to reel this into insight here? Because what she is asking is a firm logistics of how you intend to provide like a disaster relief here.
So they were originally wanting to go with the death penalty, which would knock out some future workers for them to help rebuild. They're going to have to do it anyways, so why not use the hands instead? Because it makes more sense if their goal is to still rebuild. They're not going to rebuild with less people.
Yeah, so you're offering you're offering additional hands of the group to assist with the disaster relief, and your insight is to gauge like how much that plan lingers within the council itself, how viable it is, and it's solid. So make me an insight check. It'll be hard and with advantage.
Oh,
28. Jesus, you guys are just rolling fucking rocks today.
Me, I had to re-roll.
Yep.
I had to re-roll
I
too.
will keep.
Yep, you guys are doing good. Doing real good. All right, you keep it. It is 13 out of 5. I know that sounds like a very large number, but keep in mind there are multiple thresholds here, and the verdict of the crime has been gradually changing throughout this trial. All right. Moo. Like, well, I should at least finish off with Mavet by saying, again, you do see that, like, they're speaking in all seriousness about, like, your assistance with this relief operation. Moo, how do you finish it off here? You feel like Eddie isn't going to die, but you still feel like you're not entirely out of the woods yet.
Let's see, what skills do we have left, just to make sure?
Okay.
Persuasion,
Make sure.
performance.
Yeah, and I need to mark off insight.
I think we
it's better to
also
say
used
what's
for
not on the
religion.
table, which is religion is on the table.
So really, performance and persuasion. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yep.
Oh boy. Because like I could do other things, but then I'm just sat in there going like, I don't think medicine would be great in a situation like this because I don't need to do any more checks. We don't really need to do any more. We kind of already got them rolling, don't we?
Multiple
Intimidation
thresholds.
would be the worst
Yep.
things, you know?
I would say, like, strike while the iron's hot. Like, you're the last one to go. Like, no one can really influence your roll. Like, persuasion performance would be the way to go.
I will then. I'm just trying to think. Speak publicly and
if you
attempt to
don't
justify
want
their
to,
actions.
if you don't want to do anything on yours, like, nothing's been ceded to Eddie yet this round. So if you really can't think of anything you'd like to do, you could still do that.
Yeah.
Well, really, the only thing I would pick out of the ones, because if I'm finishing it off, essentially, I think performance would make the most sense. Because it doesn't matter how truthful it is, it doesn't matter how it comes off. Because honestly, in Sear's case, where I'm looking at the heartfelt public display situation, doesn't have to be remorse. It very much is the situation where it's like, I think Sear is going to let themselves leak out a bit. Mainly because we are just trying to do our best at things. We're trying to make the world better. More importantly, in Sear's case, and I think why I'm picking this one too, the court, the people, and everyone knows where Sear stands on this.
All right. Before you get started here, I would like for Mega Sear put some thought into this, like of how you would like to do your finishing notes here, because end of the day, like Eddie has to give his finisher because his trials revolved around him because he's taking the brunt of the verdict and punishment, and Moo, like there's still things to be said about the Genasi community and marginalized groups that need to be brought up. So this is your moment. You are talking in front of the community, the heart of Frostheart, as to say.
I mean, honestly, I think as everybody's kind of getting riled up, as everybody's kind of getting like high emotion, I think Sear would just start speaking, being honest, for being like, in my time of being here, in my time of traveling with this group, in my time of working with so many people, with so much conflict, anguish, anger, and as well as so much agony of all these things, I just know something that is very common that all of you do want to have, that I want to have, that we all strive to have. It's not peace. It's not conquest. It's not of any of those things. It just appears as the forms of things that everybody seeks to have to live with. And that's happiness. I say this is because when I awoke, I felt many happy moments. When I was able to roam around and help people, I feel that happiness. When I am able to do what I need to do to bring people relief, even for a temporary moment, when we know in the darkest of hours, if we already know the answer that they are not going to come back from what occurred. That moment of happiness where you can bring to people, it's important. And I know all of you, whether it be selfish, your own happiness, upon others, their happiness, or even just the overall long-term goal of things, we all want to be happy. Which is why when I tell you this, it's not just because I don't want you all to have in conflicts. My people want to be happy. Your people want to be happy. No matter how long you live, we all want to be happy long term. Which is why it brings me such anguish, such pain, such agony to realize that my people are in danger. Not from you, but pretenders of those that try to bring them peace. You see us as an enemy, and we all seek salvation for that. My people run in droves in hopes of protection. But I learned recently that they are also just simply walking into a death farm, a situation where they will just be used for fuel to fuel, honestly, someone else's intentions. They claim peace, but reality is they wish nothing more than destruction for all of us. I'm hurt when I learned this because that means there are so many lives burned by people misrepresenting happiness. That is the same for you. You do not want anything to misrepresent your happiness. You want to be informed. You want to really, really know for the fact that the happiness you are getting. Which is why I'm trying so hard to defend not only myself, but the people that are seeking for that. And why after this, I know for a fact that I have to push harder to stop this message that's occurring among my people, that if we join the side of this evil, they'll get their happiness, where in reality, they are just pigs to a slaughter.
Okay. Give me a performance.
Ooh, this is going to be my worst stat.
Well, I'm going to say I'm actually going to lower the severity because of the general message behind it.
It's also important to remember that, you know, like, since you were clearly among us when we saved the city, you do still have advantage on charisma checks.
Yep.
Correct.
That's
that is why I'm not afraid of doing this too, because in reality, all the sea elves know for a fact.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Lower DC, advantage on the check. Okay, that's pretty fucking high roll. 18. Anything you'd like to add?
Let's see what I get.
Oh, he told you you rolled 18 unless you want more.
Just to make that a... Well, that's what I'm doing more. The reason I'm doing more is because I'm not doing justice for it. But like I was saying, Sear is not being as like cold and calculating with the voice as I'm kind of doing it. They're letting their heart outpour more and more as it kind of speaks. So at that very final moment, this is them now getting to a moment where they're just being adamantly mad, and that came out as like I would describe as not a yell, but more of a stern, loud voice at that last line.
Okay. Understood. And how? I just want to be very clear. What exactly are you adding to it, if anything at all?
A flash of genius, which makes it a 24.
And that will give you additional 2 for a 15. 15 successes out of 5. All right. Mega. Closing notes. Let me react to that first, because it was a very high roll. You see the crowd like slowly exchanging glances, and your words have touched the hearts of many of the people here. You do see like 2 people who are arguing, like between Minerva and Aeolus, just sharing like a long stare, a nod. You see like a noble like talking to peasants, and you see intermingling between species. You see you've earned Islith's good side with those words, and the head of justice remains nonplussed, but there's a glint behind the eyes. All right. Mega.
It's like a lot has been discussed and come to light during this meeting amongst the council. It's many of which were surprises, not just to ourselves, but also the council and all those who bear witness to it. But at the end of the day, we can't lose sight of why we're here and what will come forth into the future. It's like, I do not deny the tragedy that occurred yesterday. And as the council knows, I am willing to bear the responsibility of that tragedy. But even more than that, the point of a tragedy is to ensure that it will never happen again. Individuals who rose even against their own kin because of their misunderstood or misguided hate for a species that is just trying to live, survive, and be happy, just as all others around them. That, too, is also a tragedy. And just as well, all similar races are permitted to be thrown into the worst parts of the city because it is of the tradition or culture that it is permissible because they are lesser. That too is a tragedy. And that, at the end of the day, is the key word, tragedy. So then what can we do? We could simply do away with the life of those who are responsible for that tragedy. But that is not long-lasting peace. That is not long-lasting satisfaction. It feels good for the moment, but it is hollow because it does not change what happened. And worse still, it will not prevent a future tragedy. But what we can do, what we should do, what we must do is, in spite of our differences, work together to rebuild the city so that those of differing species, those of different ideas, can all live together and coexist with equality and equity.
At those words.
And I would love to be able to be part of that process. Offering aid to rebuild the city, working closely with merchants, creating new housing for those who have gone so long without it. We can work together, but we must do it together, or else we will all perish. And the tragedy of yesterday, it will happen again.
At those words, behind you, you hear the sound of the door chambers opening with a creak. More light spilling in, and we see a silhouette. You can't make out their gender, but you see them walking with purpose into the courtroom. you see the head of justice just say, "Excuse me, who goes there? We are in the middle of a trial here." And you just hear a voice break through the crowds. "Is it not fitting that a victim speak of the crime?" And you see them pull back a hood, and you would recognize this person, Sear and Gumo, as the person that you reincarnated. They walk center stage, and as they come to pass you, Gumo, they give you a curt nod and a smile. And that's
Gives it
shared
back,
with
but a
Sear.
bit confused.
Yeah, and that's shared with Sear as well. There's kindness behind those eyes, Moo. And I don't know, perhaps your heart might flutter a little bit, because again, this is a person, a part of the mob, a part of the hate, showing you kindness and love.
Possibly.
Regardless of the verdict that is to be reached today, I will make my claim and say my piece. I was once a woman. I have lived my life through what the teachings of Minerva have said to me in the guiding hands of my mother and father. I lived like a frog within the well, only to see the moon. It is with this experience, with my death, staring at Oluja, that I have come outside of the well to see the world for what it is. Looking towards each one of the heads. I have gone through experiences that I wish to tell everyone, to tell the world, things that could shake our very foundation as a community, as sea elves. That is too much for what is to be said today. I've come here to say to you, Oluja, and again, shaking hands, trembling voice, I forgive you. I forgive you for what you have done, and I am sorry. I am sorry to have cast a stone upon you. To cast a stone upon your friend. I am sorry. And you just see them holding a hand up to their eyes, tears beginning to spill from their fingers. I am so sorry. I wish for you to show me the same forgiveness I have shown you. I have learned. I have learned. And it took too much for such a lesson, such a simple lesson. We are equal. We are the same. And there's a gasp amongst the murmur, just reinforcing the speeches of Eddie and Sear. I forgive you. And he just can't stop repeating it. Is there anything Oluja says to that?
She would. I keep forgetting I can't touch anybody.
Yep.
She would kneel, bend on one knee and kind of hand to her heart, head down, also apologize. I too am sorry.
At this moment, we are going to resolve with the verdict. And I'm going to progressively tell you the verdicts that you have skipped over. So let's talk about the first threshold, just general success. If you guys would have failed with under 5 successes, Eddie would have been executed. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. There is no bullshit or a cockamamie scheme to get him out of it. It is justice as served. And it is a penalty that I would have carried out. I want to make it very clear that a character's life was on the line and someone could have died from bad rolls in this game quite easily. 2 natural ones. That's all you guys needed. The second verdict that you guys have gone across, if you guys got 8 or more, 9 or more, it would have been exile. So anything under 9 would have been exile. Anything under 13 successes is the verdict that you guys are going to be coming across. Between 9 and 13 would have been a fine. Going above 13, you guys have gotten the best possible result. As the head of justice looks towards the oligarchy, they speak amongst themselves. And they say the following. Your actions have caused great harm, and you must answer for that. However, given your previous efforts and the potential for redemption, we have decided on a different path. We will take you on your offer, Mr. Hayse, on a collaborative effort to restore our city. Any and all taxes gained from trade within Frostheart or trade with our merchants, and again, he's speaking to the crowd, those funds will go towards a reconstruction effort. It is your responsibility to repair the trust that has been broken. Consider this a chance of a redemption, not only to rebuild our city, but to prove you have learned from this tragedy. Meliora pipes in. I still do not believe it is enough to rebuild what is lost, but it is a start. This will help ensure that the city recovers, and you'll be given a chance to prove your commitment to this cause. See Isla taking a deep breath, holding a hand over her heart and smiling at all of you. I believe in the capacity for change, even in those who make mistakes. I believe that this is a way to mend what was torn, and perhaps this is the start to bring healing to not only the Genasi, changelings, the Kalishtar, and the Sea Elves, but true equality between all of our races. And you see Solmaris just staring daggers at all of this proceeding, and you see feigned cheerfulness. Is this really what they deserve? After everything that has been done to our city, to our people? For what? Some attempt at a resolution? This recklessness nearly tore us apart. Look at the crowd! And they just get to walk away? You just see him bite his lip You see that this fake smile is gone. You think taxes are enough to mend the wounds that they have inflicted? You, in biting his tongue, and this is where the intimidation from earlier came in, Eddie. Like he was about to say something extremely nasty, something to really throw things off course, and you see him holding back towards your threat. I hope you spend the rest of your days trying to restore what has been destroyed. And Minerva help us that it will erase the stain on your names. You may leave with your punishment. And there is emphasis on the word punishment, as you guys are scot-free.
Actually, specifically in response, it's like without necessarily saying anything, but probably easy to communicate.
Yep.
Specifically looking to them. Let it be known, councilman, that I too am heartbroken by the loss of a dear sea elf.
See his face convulse. It's not even hidden. Just see his eyebrows wiggles, his mouth twitch, his nostrils flaring. Like a bubbling pot.
But a broken heart is difficult to mend.
Indeed, Mr. Hayse. Good day. And he stands up. And with that, court is adjourned. You guys did really good. No execution, no exile, no fine, just a promise to restore the community during your downtime.
Which we were gonna do anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's getting close to the time that we need to end here, but I do want to at least validate your actions here and to really give an overview. Let's say, unless someone has something extremely pertinent that needs to be said right this fucking moment, I'm going to skip just a little bit ahead in time here.
Hurdles.
The only reason why I asked that is because I can kind of see maybe Oluja and Sear maybe saying something, or perhaps like that can be a simmering pot to be dealt with later.
It wouldn't be to Sear. I already had my conversation with Sear.
Perhaps lingering feelings towards what Eddie did. But it doesn't have to be addressed at this moment unless you feel like you got something you got to say right the fuck now.
No, it would just be that whenever we're able to like actually leave and be free, she goes to be alone.
Okay. Let's say everyone spreads out, does their own thing within town. We'll address it the next day, but we'll say for our case, and just be a little vague to allow people to do what they want, that it is the afternoon, the morning is done. This, like, 1-to-1 took the same amount of time, 3-4 hours pass. Like, going over these details, you guys are released. It is around 1 o'clock, and from various points in the city, you see things being done through your words. Eddie, Oluja, through some vantage point wherever you guys are in the city, you look towards the dredges, and you see a remarkable surplus of sea elves, and people talking, looking over. You see logistics being done, and even like talks to other species that are causing people to cry. You feel like a monumental effort in this community is about to be underway. Projects and plans. Towards your deception, Gomu, during the trial, you see that like the heads, like you guys don't even have a chance to say more words to the heads of the oligarchy. Like each one is addressing a different crowd and their issues, like one by one. It is much like I believe the old Romans used to settle disputes this way, just having a crowd of people fucking ask questions and a representative asking it. If I'm wrong, whatever, but that's what's being done here, where each one of the heads are handling a crowd, answering questions. And Gomu, your unrest, your chaos is beginning to bring forth seeds of people demanding answers, missing information, and like fighting for change. Like the minority is becoming the loudest voice at this moment. People
Viva
are,
la revolution.
yep, you're fanning the flames of change, and you are seeing the results. And the only two people taking it in stride are Islith and Corvallis. The head of justice and the head of religion and culture are encouraging these ideas, encouraging this change, reform, while the other two departments, again, urban development, is even like doing a pointless fight towards points brought up for the dredges. You see like a minority species like truly speaking out towards Meliora, and she just doesn't have the grounds or the spine to really fight back this much opposition. While Solmaris, like, he is just agitated, like talking to merchants and fighting back against any like a talk of reform and change within the actual government itself and their positions of power. But he is struggling because the words of Eddie Hayse are literally being a haze in his mind right now. Like he's giving hazy responses, and it's out of anger to the point where he gives up halfway through and walks away, while people are just left in discontent. Even so, like I am gonna go towards I know Mega brought up a point earlier, but I'm still gonna say like even the verdict that you guys had during the trial was the best possible result. But I'm gonna even say, like, because of your words, people are actually fighting for a mistrial to like go further to clear your names and truly like even raise monuments in your honor, and even that's coming to friction as like obviously damages need to be done, but they definitely want to have some way of honoring your actions throughout these last few days. You guys have made a tremendous impact on this community. And again, you hear the thumping of Boreas above, the Demi-Titan, as all this is going on. The lift to the surface has been constructed with a pulley system and a woven basket to bring people to the surface should you guys desire. You do know that your ally, Lylaren, both father and daughter, are gone from the community, and the surface is truly dangerous. At this point, I would like to ask if anyone has a finisher for this session.
Hard to say. This is one of the ones where it's like,
There's a lot to be said. It's like, which
well, the
one
thing is,
should we
like,
talk about?
well, really, it's like we did bring peace in some way, but the best way I would maybe phrase it, then this is what makes it really sad. We brought peace amongst the group here, but there is discord amongst the party.
You cannot, yeah. Well, I was gonna even say there is still like a lot of discord within the community, but it is a healthy discord, like opposition towards inequality, rising to change, even if it may be hard. Like you guys have really planted a seed, and you were seeing it grow.
You are correct, but also, I think Oluja is really mad. Sear is really mad. Eddie just got away without his skin being cut, you know?
Oh yeah.
The really good people that are okay are essentially our tree man and Gumo, who's like, I'm a stranger. Let's muck it up.
Actually, maybe this would just be like at one point, like maybe just like witnessing like some of the stuff happening around them. It's, Eddie, just like maybe like some like gesturing at themselves, and then maybe even like gesturing at the floundering council members, and maybe even just like the city as a whole. And this, Mavet, is how a sapling destroys a mighty oak.
Mavet, any response, or do you just linger on that statement?
I think that's a good ending statement.
Yep. All right. Thank you guys so much. I did not think we'd be going on for that trial for that long, but I'm glad we did. We talked about a whole bunch of shit, and you guys have brought a revolution of sorts without bloodshed. Thank you guys so much for playing with me today. This is where we're going to end the session.
You're welcome.
Good to be.
This has been House Common Blood. The intro and outro music is Oh My Dog by Savick, and any other music and sound effects used in this episode are royalty-free. Credits can be found in the episode description. Please review us on whatever podcast listening app you happen to be using. And if you like us, tell other people. Word of mouth is the best way for us to grow. Thank you for joining us. Where is the fire?